Hello, Knights. Today I am going to be teaching you about subjects and predicates and how together they can create a complete sentence. So we know a sentence is a whole thought, right? The tall tree with many branches. Is that a complete thought? No, we don't know what the tall tree with many branches is doing. It's just a thing. Played in the wet sand. Is that a complete sentence? No, because we don't know who is playing in the wet sand. It's just something someone is doing. So a sentence is a whole thought. The tall tree with many branches fell right onto the road. We know what fell and then what the tall tree with many branches was doing. So it is a complete thought. Little Andy played in the wet sand. Now it's no longer a mystery of who is playing in the wet sand. We have a subject. So, what makes a whole thought? What makes a complete sentence? You need two parts. So, one of those two parts is a subject. The subject of a sentence tells who or what the sentence is about. So the tall tree with many branches fell right onto the road. Who or what is the sentence about? The tall tree with many branches. That is the person, the thing, or the place, the noun, right? That tells us who or what the sentence is about. Another example, little Andy played in the wet sand. So what is the subject? Who or what is the sentence about? We know it's little Andy. It's the person who is playing in the wet sand. That is who or what the sentence is about. Again, the subject. The other half of a complete thought is the predicate. This is the part of a sentence that tells what the subject does or did. So the tall tree with many branches fell right onto the road. Well, we know that the tall tree with many branches is the subject, but what did the subject do or did? It fell right onto the road. Okay, it's the predicate. Let's do another example. Little Andy played in the wet sand. Well, we know the subject is little Andy, but what did little Andy do or did? He played in the wet sand. That is the predicate, what the subject does or did. So again, we have two parts of a complete sentence, the subject and the predicate. The subject is who or what the sentence is about. The predicate is what the subject does or did. So let's do some practice to try and identify both parts. So the whole family listens to the radio program every Saturday morning. What is the subject of this sentence? Who or what is the sentence about? The whole family. And notice it's not just family, it's the whole family, okay? Now, what did the subject do or did, aka the predicate? They listen to the radio program every Saturday morning. So that is what the subject does or did, the predicate. And together they make a complete sentence. Let's do another one. 4 lions chase the zebra away from the watering hole. Let's do the subject first. So who or what is the sentence about? I'm going to give you a second to figure it out. The 4 lions. Very good if you figured that out. Now, what did the 4 lions do or did? What is the predicate? They chased the zebra away from the watering hole. Notice that we didn't just choose chased. They chased the zebra away from the watering hole. Because remember that the subject and the predicate have to come together to create a complete sentence. So if part of your sentence is not underlined or identified, then you're not identifying the complete subject or the complete predicate. So make sure you're including all of the words. Now, are you noticing any patterns yet? Because there are some patterns when identifying the subject and the predicate. The one pattern that a lot of people realize is that the subject usually comes first. The subject comes and then the predicate. Usually, in most cases, it happens this way. Okay? Now, have you noticed anything about the first word in each predicate? Because there's definitely a pattern that's happening. Very good. If you see that it starts with something important, so fell, played, listens, chased, washes, loves. So there's something that's happening at the beginning of each predicate. These are all verbs. So if you notice that these are all verbs or action words, then you are right. The predicate usually starts with a verb or an action word. So for example, fell or played or washes. And that makes sense because if the predicate is something that the subject does or did, usually they have to have a verb or an action word to do something. So all sentences have a verb. You cannot have a complete sentence without one. And normally the first word of the predicate is the verb. So that could be a very big sign and signal that the predicate is beginning in the sentence. So yeah, finding the verb can help you find where the predicate begins. So find the subject and find the predicate. So if you aren't sure, try finding the verb first. So we sleep in the tent all the time during the summer. This time, let's try and find the predicate first. Remember, the predicate usually starts with that verb. So I'm wondering what the verb is in this sentence. Very good, it's sleep. So the predicate must be sleep in the tent all the time during the summer. And that leaves the subject being we, which makes sense because the subject is who or what the sentence is about. So let's wrap up by reviewing. The subject of a sentence tells who or what the sentence is about. Remember, the subject usually in most cases comes first or before the predicate. And the predicate of a sentence tells what the subject does or did. We also found out that the predicate usually begins with a verb, and that can help you find the beginning of the predicate. Together, a subject and a predicate make a whole thought. If you can't find both, chances are your sentence is not a complete sentence. So go back and see which part you're missing. A whole thought is a sentence. Otherwise, it's not. And you'll figure out what that means at the end of this week. If it's not a complete sentence, it must be something else. Well, great job, Knights. Good luck on your assignment that you're going to be doing after this. It's going to be a quiz. If you need help, I will attach an anchor chart here in the assignment, and you can always come back and watch the video as many times as you need. Until then, this is Miss Nelson. Bye, Knights, and see you next time.